Hey everyone, it's your girl Michaela. And before we dive into what's going to be another great show, I have some questions for you. Okay. First and foremost, in your opinion, what does inclusion look like in health and wellness spaces? What does it look like for you? What do you need it to be? What do you need it to feel like? Secondly, it's pretty common knowledge that physical and fitness goes a long way to enhance our bodies, our minds, and just the way we live. But what does an inclusive approach to fitness do to enhance relationships and businesses of all kinds? And lastly, and playfully, is that soreness you're feeling after an intense workout? Is that really your body's way of having a tough conversation with itself? Yes, the pun is intended. And yes, I'm talking about diversity and inclusion. I always will. So we'll get into that and a whole slew of other topics in this episode of Live, Learn, and Exercise. Yeah, we're unpacking everything from the humility, the respect, and the perspective taking that most fitness relationships require. We're also diving into intentional leadership and how inclusive workspaces move the mark in building community. Okay. And I really do welcome you to actively participate in this conversation about how genuine partnerships create bigger, better, more effective operating systems. And I'm talking about the ones we walk around with every day and the ones that we participate in outside of the home. So, inclusion and good fitness. Let's talk about it. Welcome to Live, Learn, and Exercise. It's your girl, Michaela. I'm back with another great guest. I know I always say such and such is my favorite, but I really mean it this time. Tom is literally my favorite. I don't know if he knew he was always my favorite, but he's always been my favorite. And the thing that I love most about Tom is that he is a confidence booster for me. And again, I don't think he knows, but he has this way every time we connect of telling me something that either inspires me or motivates me to do something or just makes me feel better about myself. And so I kind of keep him around just because, in order to be me, I need to have people in my circle that build me up. And he always does it. He has way more great qualities and skills than just building me up. I'm going to let him talk about, but I am just so excited, as you can see, to welcome my good friend, Tom Richards. Tell us about yourself, Tom.
Well, my goodness, Michaela, thank you so much for that intro. I already feel like I'm on cloud nine just from
Mhm.
that. I'm so glad I can play that role for you. You certainly play a similar role for me. You help me make sense of the world,
Oh.
which I value so much. Um, I'm really honored to be here. I watched the show and like all your friends and your guests are so thoughtful and just insightful. And your son, your 11-year-old son is doing affirmations and I'm like writing down notes. I don't take very many notes from 11-year-olds. I know there's a lot of, very smart 11-year-olds, but it's been a while since I was taking advice from one so insightfully. So uh it's amazing to find myself here and I'm thrilled to be here.
Well,
Um
thank you. And I'll let Michael know because he also tunes into the shows, and it will be a great confidence builder for him to know that he's had an impact. This morning's affirmations, because I have to like kind of scale him down to 3 because he'll reel off about 20 if you let him. And I'm teaching him how to like narrow it down so he can be great at like the 3 versus spread all over the place. So his affirmations this morning were I am focused, I give others space, or I respect personal
Right.
boundaries.
How does he
And his third one is I am confident even when I'm confused. And I'm like, yes, babe.
does he come up with these?
So he comes up with his initial, And then his brother, who's 13, and I give his brother an opportunity to say, do you think Michael should add another? And then I may add another. And then if he likes it, he'll retain it for the next time. So yeah, he plays the most major role in synthesizing that. And, I've had to help like give guidance to them because in the beginning, they would just reel off what they were already good at, and which is great, right? But
Yep.
my intent in doing that was to help them look for areas of growth, assert it, put it out in the universe, and then after a certain time with practice and awareness to actually become those things. So he's not focused all the time, which is why he needs to.
Wow. I mean, I feel like I should get like a Daily Michael or something. Like, what
Yes,
do
and
what should I
he's
be telling
great.
myself today?
Yeah, his favorite one is I'm emotionally intelligent. That's his
Yes,
favorite
you
one.
picked that up. An emotionally intelligent 11-year-old, and clearly he is.
Yes, yes. So I will be sure to share that with Michael.
Yeah.
Well, you said, I make sense of the world for you. You definitely do the same for me. I feel like you give me the layup. You put the alley oop up, and then I get to do it. You even are one of the motivators behind this show. Do you remember? I don't know if it was a year ago or 2 years ago, but at an industry trade show and major
Yes.
event, you said, you know what? You got to put some of these ideas on a podcast or on TV or something. And I was like, oh, Tom,
Yeah.
get out of here. And you was like, no, for real. And
Yeah.
now look where we are.
Yeah. I do remember that conversation, and I'm so glad you made it happen because that's what you were doing at industry show. I mean, people were putting you on stage just to to facilitate conversations and to lead conversations. And it seemed like, geez, you could do this all the time.
Well, from your mouth to God's ears, Tom, here we
Yes,
are.
here we are.
So, okay, you have done
Yeah.
and do currently do a lot. And so I want to talk about some of that. I mean, you and I forge what I feel like is an inseparable bond
Yes.
through our work in the health and fitness association and the health and fitness industry, a global industry that pretty much sets trends, creates policy, creates community within our health and fitness community globally. You have been doing that work for decades, as an
Yeah.
ally, as an activist, as an executor. So, talk a little bit about your journey, several journeys, because you're part of several organizations as
Yeah.
a business owner, as a consultant, all that. Talk about your various journeys in the health and fitness industry and what impact that has had on you.
Yeah. Well, thank you. And it's wild
Mhm.
that I have been involved for decades now. You can put an S on it. I realized
Yeah,
recently it's been
yeah.
over 20 years. Um, a quick background just to let you know how we got here.
Mhm.
I went to law school. I wanted to do healthcare policy. I wanted to figure out, how to make the healthcare system uh, fair, more affordable, accessible for everybody.
Right.
Um, I took the bar. I was waiting for my results. I was applying some places up in Boston. And
Right.
meanwhile, I was just doing kind of part-time work. Actually, I was working full-time, but on a contractor basis for the Health and Fitness Association, which was then called URSA. My sister worked there. My sister sold advertising. She got me
I
the
didn't know that.
yeah.
Okay.
She got me the job. She sold advertising for the magazine and brought me lunch every day, and she was a big sister all the time to me.
Okay.
Um, and while I was waiting for an opening at the Massachusetts Healthcare Committee in their
Mhm.
legislature, I had this opportunity to stay with URSA, and they said, we're really trying to bring physical activity more into the healthcare conversation.
Mm.
Is that something you'd be interested in helping us do?
Yeah.
And it occurred to me that physical activity is so underappreciated in the healthcare system. I mean, to this day, I mean, we're 20 years later, it's still highly underappreciated, and we can talk about
Right.
some of that work that's going on now that I think we're actually making some real progress now. Uh,
Right.
but that idea was just really fascinating to me about like how can we harness physical activity for the whole lifespan, to reduce chronic disease, but also to just increase people's mental health. I mean, it was
Right.
we didn't talk about it as much 20 years ago, but it was real obvious that when you took a 20-minute walk, you felt better. I mean, just
Right.
little things like that. Um, and just more joy. Like I've been around physical activity now for 20 years. Um, I've never been someone that you would turn to for fitness advice. Um, I'm just not that person.
Mhm.
What I am is someone who will scream, shout from the rooftops about the benefits of physical activity, for joy, for connection, to fight loneliness, to fight isolation, to just feel better about how you feel about yourself, how you show up for other people, show up for
Right.
people that you care about, show up for people in your community. That the power of physical activity to me is just so broad, and I feel
Right.
so grateful to be a part of it.
Where I'm just curious, I mean,
Yeah,
where did that come from? I mean, you speak about it with such passion. I mean, you now have the experience behind you, but
yeah.
when you started on this journey, where did that passion or that connection to physical fitness come from? Is there a point in your life or is there experience that sort of made you feel like I want to shout at from the mountaintops?
I always knew that there was something, there was there was a power in just I used to think of physical activity a bit more solo. Like I knew if you worked out and maybe if you had owned a gym and you created a community, that it almost reminded me a little bit of like a faith community, where if you could
Yeah,
bring it a place that you know people feel welcomed and encouraged and supported and celebrated, that you could add that to someone's life, and they're
right,
getting healthier, but they're just feeling like they're a part of something, and
right.
that was really I knew that was possible. Um, Around 2015, 2016, I became aware of a group called Girl Trek, and I
Hmm.
became aware of a group called Walk with a Doc, and also a group called and they're called Sports Backers, the Fitness Warriors in Richmond. And these
Okay.
were all of these were groups that were like volunteering in their community. Almost they were like fitness evangelists, almost like
Yeah.
just like I've seen you do. I've seen you lead one group exercise class at the
Oh God.
Capitol,
Right.
and the way you could pull everyone together and lead this group of people, and the camaraderie that it builds,
Hmm.
is something that's really kind of rare and unique at this
Hmm.
point in our culture. And I think as really in the last 10 years, I didn't think when I think back, I didn't think about it so much in like in 2015, 2014, but when I think about the progression, we've lost a lot of that pretty
Right.
quickly. Um, yeah, and just I'm really passionate about how we can come together again around this idea of just, I don't care how many push-ups someone can do. I hope
Right.
that they're doing more push-ups than they did last month because they'll feel better
Right.
themselves, you know?
Right. You've made the connection between fitness and religion or spirituality twice. And I don't think I've ever thought about it in that sense. I am totally cognizant that um the fitness provider client relationship, in my opinion, is one of the most intimate relationships that you can
Yeah.
have. I feel like people connect with fitness professionals at really vulnerable times of their life, both positively and sometimes negatively. And so I've always been cognizant of the intimacy of that relationship, but I never thought about it in terms of a following and how it makes you feel spiritually. I've always just thought about it as motivator of things or the outcome. Thank you for bringing that to the conversation because I agree with you 100%. We had people, I mean, currently in the current political climate where so many people have been furloughed, we have a shutdown. We have people who barely are earning an income, if any, and they're still paying their gym membership.
Yes.
Similar to the way people still tithe, even when
Yes.
they don't have money.
Yes.
And there's that saying that you don't always remember what someone says or does, but you remember how they made you feel. And I think
Yes.
that totally uh, applies to the club or the gym or experience. So yeah, that's a pretty interesting connection. I'm going to be thinking about that for the rest of our conversation. I believe I agree 100%. It's very much like that.
I think, I mean, that applies to walking clubs. It
Hmm.
applies to curling club, all the different
Yeah.
kind of clubs, groups that come together um, around an activity. I think that there's power in that. But I know, I mean, you've led very large facilities with
Hmm.
thousands of members,
Hmm.
and it's the culture that you create that's bringing people
Yeah.
back. I don't think people are going home and checking their blood pressure. They're probably getting on a scale, which
Right.
has mixed value.
Yeah.
But it's the culture that keeps bringing them back. Whether and it doesn't mean you have to be like best friends with people at the gym.
Right.
Talk to anyone at the gym. I think it's great if you do have some friendly interactions with people, but just feeling like you have a place where you can go and you belong, and this is a positive place in your life is really powerful.
That's the selling point. I mean, I currently manage a luxury club. We don't call it a gym because we want a
Yeah.
more all encompassing experience than that. But it's on the higher end, and the selling point is not the equipment because there are many operators that offer pretty nice equipment and you can get for a fraction of the price. We're selling the community. We're selling the camaraderie. We're selling the social aspects and the services, right?
Mhm.
We're approaching fitness from the inside out, but a lot of it really is about the people, the staff, right? Someone who
Mhm.
knows your name. That's good old cheers,
Oh, for
cheers
sure.
song. Go where somebody
Yeah.
knows your name. And I think I told this story on a previous show about one of my clients who is a bit older and rides the recumbent bike right outside my office almost daily, and I'm used
Huh.
to seeing him, he's used to seeing me, and he
Yeah.
told me he wanted me to know he was going to be away for 3 weeks on a vacation. And at first I didn't understand why. I mean, we share, but I was like, what's your point? And his point was that he lives alone. He's 70 plus. He doesn't have any children. And if anything happened to him, he knows or he believes that I'm the one that would know that he was gone. And I might be the one that says, where is such and such? And when I kind of realized that, I was like, whoa,
Yeah.
that's exactly what we're selling. We're selling community, family,
Yeah.
bonds. It was wild to me, and it really it connected me to him close. I was like, yeah, I am going to pay attention to you for real, for real. I'm going to pay attention to you, and if anything ever happened, I got your back.
Yeah.
so,
That's
so yeah.
and that's beautiful. And like you alluded to this before, that people come into the to facilities or create relationships with trainers or exercise professionals. They can be at some of the most difficult, most vulnerable parts of their lives,
Yeah,
or times in their lives, and also some of the best. It's like you can
yeah.
kind of bring you through the highs and the lows, and obviously, you don't have to be a licensed therapist just to walk alongside somebody and give them some encouragement. But that's
Right.
kind of what I think that in 2025, that's what a lot of people are looking for in a fitness community.
And I look at my life, and most of the like critical moments of my life, there's an association with a gym. I mean, pre-pregnancy, post-pregnancy,
Mm.
pre-divorce, post-divorce.
Yeah.
When my dad passed away this year, I leaned not into a gym, but I leaned into fitness heavily. Everything from meditation and mobility to yoga to just getting up and walking outside and nutrition, forcing myself to eat. Like it it was the thing that I felt like I can control when the emotions were
Mm.
uncontrollable, when outcomes were unknown. It was the thing that I was confident that if I just do a little bit of this, I know I'm going to have some type of gain. And
Yeah.
fitness is very transactional that way. The more you give, the more you get. And the less you give, the less you get. And the more you need it, the more you get it. It's like all those things. And so fitness and actually, so I got certified. I joined the fitness industry, I guess you can say, in 2004. And my first client at a local gym, we were working out, and maybe about 2 months into our training experience, she showed up and she was in tears crying, and I'm
Yeah.
thinking, damn girl, we didn't even start training yet. Why are you crying? We didn't even get started yet. And what I did not know is one of the reasons that she had come to me is because she was a new mom. She had like a 3 or 4 month old. And prior to this particular day, she had not been able to bend down, pick up her child, and hold her child face to face because of some of the deconditioning her body went through, some of the fitness related conditions. And
Mm,
after about 2 months of training, she not only had the confidence, but she had the strength to do something as simple as, going eye to eye with your child, things that, you see in pictures and
yeah.
stuff all the time. And so for her, this was life altering. And now we're tied in. We're because
Yeah.
now her fitness experience and me as her trainer is directly tied to the joys of life. And
Yes.
it was after that story and hearing that training and being in the fitness industry, it transformed. It morphed from a little side job that I'm using just to earn a little extra money on the side to like, I got to do this for the rest of my life. Like literally in that
Yeah.
moment, I knew that being in the fitness industry in that way was a way for me to culminate all of my passions, giving back to the community and changing lives, being physically, healthy and fit, connect, sisterhood and kinship, all those things that she was getting out of it, I was also getting out of it. And I knew that I would be in this industry for decades. And here we are. So,
That is an incredible origin story.
mhm,
I love that.
yeah.
It is so strange, this idea of being intentional about physical activity. I mean, it didn't really even exist until maybe 50 years ago. Like the human
Hmm.
race wasn't like, I'm going to stop what I'm doing and go do exercise now and then come
Right.
back. You just always kind of moved, and also people were pretty unhealthy back then too. That had a lot of bad lifestyle habits, but people didn't.
Well, they could be. The food didn't have as much stuff in it as it does
Yes,
now. So they weren't as physically fit, but they also didn't have such a high rate of cancers, hypertensions, heart attack, stroke. So,
yes, that is
anyway, sorry,
yes.
go ahead.
No, that's no, but that so the idea of encouraging people to go, exercise 150 minutes a week.
Yeah,
I mean, that's it just all feels kind of like empty, but if you're tying it to something like lifting up your child,
right,
that's something deeply, meaningful, spiritual. Like that's what we need to in a culture that's completely engineered physical activity out. I mean, we can be unbelievably
right,
productive sitting on
yeah,
the couch. We can order food, we can order groceries, we can do our work, we can watch TV,
right,
we can connect with everyone we know.
right,
You could even, instead of going out and having a glass of wine with somebody, you can have a glass of wine and FaceTime them. Like you can do everything
right,
on the couch, but we still need to move our bodies.
right,
And I think that has to, we need to connect it to things bigger than just weight loss and that kind of thing. And we need people like you walking alongside people and being there for people to support and encourage. It's a huge lift. I mean, we're talking
mm,
uh, the more modern a culture and society is, the more people who need help right now. And there's not nearly enough great exercise professionals out there
right.
to help people.
Right. Um, I mean, I think that early on in my career, I did understand this idea of fitness having to feel more seamless and simple versus rigorous. And so, like in
Yep.
my earlier career, that meant I grew up as a dancer. And so for me,
Mm.
I'm more likely to engage in something that involves a hobby that I would do in my sleep or for
Yeah.
free than like to think of it as, I want to do a push up, right?
Yeah.
Um, just this idea of your hobby, your passion, what you want to do, meeting what you need to do in order to, be healthy. And so this is where like diversity and inclusion meets health and fitness.
Mm,
Because the more we can take the time to be socially aware about what moves, what drives, what preferences are held by others, and like really understand it and value it, then as operators, as providers, we know what we're speaking to when we kind of apply a cookie cutter
yeah.
approach, like what you said, weight management. In most cases, is weight loss. It's not even weight gain, which is a whole segment of our industry, right? When we
Yeah.
just apply it from that perspective, we just want somebody to buy a treadmill, get on a treadmill, but they don't even like cardio. So why are we pushing this, home? When we can really value what others need and want and
Yeah.
speak to that, our industry can hit corners of the world that we never even dreamed of. And so,
Hmm.
what it requires an intention. It requires an intention. It requires respect,
Hmm.
right? And it requires humility, right? I've been in this industry for over 20 years. I know what I know. I'm confident in what I know. But there are things that they can teach me about their body because they've lived in it, right? Their
Hmm.
background matters. And so even though I can tell them from my experience, from my education, what I think, what I surmise is best,
Hmm.
they have to be a part of that conversation because they are a specialist and an expert at themselves.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And
They.
so as fitness providers, I think we have an opportunity for growth, and it lives in that humility to take what you feel confident about and have conversations with the most diverse array of people up and down the stakeholder chain and put it together and go back and forth and not just hitting all different types of people with the same message.
Right.
That's the value of diversity and inclusion when it comes to our clients and our customers. And I'm looking forward to that pivot happening.
Yes. You're
Yeah.
reminding me of a quote I heard a bunch of years ago. It was from a weight loss researcher, and he said, and I want to be careful. I know weight loss and physical activity are not as closely tied. I've used
Right.
that example a couple times, but
Right.
um, this researcher said we've tried 1,000 different ways to address obesity crisis, and they all work.
Yeah.
He said
Yeah.
they all work a little. He said,
Right.
and the reason is they all work a little and not a lot is because everyone is different. Uh,
Yes.
and everyone's everyone's bodies are different. Everyone's physiology is a little different,
Right.
but their experiences with physical activity when they were 9 years old that they're bringing to this. They're
Yeah.
people in their lives who have made them feel like they can or can't do something, or the stories that we tell ourselves.
Right.
All of that first time you step into the gym or you meet with a new trainer or you just show up to some cycling club, whatever it might be,
Right.
you're telling yourself a story. Um, a lot of times it's negative, or
Yeah.
this isn't me, or I can't really do this. And um, I know just recently um, I started running a little bit
Mm-hmm.
because I told myself for a long time that I was like just a little bit out of shape.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and then I realized I was actually a lot out of shape. Like doing like walking
It's
and stuff, but
okay.
yeah, like I'm not in good shape. And and so I've started to run like just a mile because I know
Hmm.
that I used to go out and do like 3 or 4 miles
Yeah.
without training and hate it,
Right.
and I'd stop like 2 weeks later like, oh God, I hate this. So like
Right.
go out, do a mile, just remind myself that I can do this and try to build myself up a little bit. And that's been great. I've been doing that for like, I don't know, maybe 2 months or so. I do that a few times a
Okay.
week, and first thing I do when I wake up in the morning. Um,
That's amazing. I'll admit, I don't really like running. I feel, and this is because it was used first of all, I associate it with pain. Being an
Yeah.
athlete, I mean, being a field hockey athlete, lacrosse, I mean, I feel like I ran
Yeah.
enough in a matter of like that 10-year span to last
Yes.
me for a lifetime. Is also was associated with punishment. We used to run laps for every minute each team member was late and things like that.
Yeah.
So kudos to you. And kudos to all the marathon runners, all that. I'm always like, that ain't me, but that's great.
Yeah.
My
That'll never be
question
me.
for you is, you said you didn't really like running. So
Yeah.
what is the motivation behind jumping back into this specific form of cardio? Because there are other forms of cardio, but you chose this.
I chose this because was feeling old.
Oh,
I felt like I couldn't run. Well, I was like, I'm too young to not be able to like run the way that my mind tells me I can run. Um,
mm,
and I'll tell you, I'm and I feel better now. Those first few times out in the morning at 5:30 in the morning, like were painful. I mean, 1 mile. We're talking like
right, right.
10 minutes, probably more than 10 minutes, but I felt terrible. Um,
Yeah,
felt a lot better now. But it lasts with me all day. Like
yeah,
if I get out of bed and I do it and I'm done, sometimes by 6 a.m., I'm back in, I fired up the laptop, I'm ready to go. Uh,
yeah,
got a cup of coffee. I feel so much better about like myself. I
yeah,
feel better when I see my kids. I feel like I got a little extra. I can be there for them better. I don't
yeah,
know. It just impacts, and I don't know why exactly or what it is,
yeah,
but since I've started being more intentional about working out and like just taking care of myself a little bit more, trying to eat a little
yeah,
bit better.
yeah.
Um, I don't know. I'm definitely showing up for people better than I was before, and it's just
Right,
again, like physical activity is just it impacts so many other things that
right.
about people's lives, and that radiates, I think, radiates to other people around you.
Right. And so what I heard you say was, initially you kind of went to it out of defiance. You're like, hell no, I'm not this old.
Yeah.
Like, why shouldn't I be able to do this? But it sounds like through the
Yeah.
process, you became motivated by the outcome.
Yes.
And you just committed to what you could control, which was getting out of bed, doing a little bit, getting a little bit better, the consistency of it. I'm just going to commit to what I
Yeah.
could control. And after that consistency and that frequency, you started to now experience some positive outcomes, which then became the motivator, because you don't want to
Yes.
lose that. You don't
Yes.
want to feel the other way. You don't want to regress back. You don't want to take back that sense of accomplishment that you felt. You don't want to go back to feeling
Yeah.
old, or things like that. So, and
Yeah.
that is the journey and the experience of so many people. You did you attend that class that I taught on the Hill, or were you emceeing it?
I was the water boy.
Okay.
I literally,
So
so I was in a suit. Everyone else
yeah.
was doing hardcore, very fun workout. You adapted it for all levels. But I showed up in a suit
Yeah,
and I got a lot of booze and I used the
yeah.
excuse I had an early meeting. I had early meeting I got to run to after this. I don't have time to change.
I didn't
So
say it to put you on the spot. I was not putting you on the spot, because your role was very important. I'm
I did
saying
hand
this
out
to say, and
waters and I had to walk a mile and a half to get them and then carry back like 48 waters in a suit. And it
right,
was
I
very
remember
hot, even though it was like 7 in the
it
morning.
was a blue suit. I remember it very, very distinctly. It was a
Thank
blue
you.
suit, a navy blue
There's
suit.
an amazing picture
And
from that
mind
after.
you, I scaled that.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone was smiling, but that they were smiling because of what you are experiencing now. They're smiling because they got through that, and the outcome was like, oh, I wouldn't imagine I could get through that. I
Yeah.
always laugh because the secret behind all of that is that I had a pretty severe back injury that I was nursing that whole weekend. And I
Really?
had committed to teaching this class for the association. I was like, I'm going to teach this class, like whatever. And
Yeah.
so I not only dialed it back because we had people of varying levels, but I dialed it back because I could not demo all the moves that I would have normally wanted to do. So I always laugh when people are now, after 2 years, talking about that work. I'm like, see, wait till I come back in full force.
Yes.
We'll see.
Wow.
Run till that. But
There was a member of
yeah, but
Congress at that workout. I mean, it's only going to be
yeah.
bigger and better next year. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a highlight. And it's, there's this thing of, going through the fitness trenches with like-minded souls. And the like-mindedness of that is varied, right? Like when I say like-minded, I could mean literally your friend. It could be someone else that's doubting if they're capable based on their age or based on their weight or based on their experience with the modality and all of those things.
Yeah.
And so you're in the trenches. And I honestly think it brought all of us closer. So, I mean, for instance, Liz, and I always shout out to her because she's my girl, but
Yeah.
it brought us closer. We like literally
Yeah.
fitness trauma bonded.
Yes. Yeah.
you know and there's something that's another outcome. We keep talking about community, we keep talking about the social aspects of physical fitness. In our case, I think it really it solidified some really key and strategic bonds in our industry, because if you get through something like that together, you feel like you can take on the world together. And I believe that's what we started doing in a different way from that point. So that was a really cool experience. And
That is.
thank you for hauling water for a whole mile.
It was very much the least I could do. Um,
Right,
but
right.
these types of classes and what we're talking about, it builds resilience and it builds grit. You know, I think part of me just wanting to start running a little bit more was that
Yeah,
I wanted to do some hard things, but like I work from home a lot.
yeah,
Um, and I just feel like I'm not doing uncomfortable things very often. And
yeah,
and uh and so I've had to, and that's not easy to be intentional about going to do uncomfortable things, whether it be a physically uncomfortable thing or just putting yourself out there in a social situation or an
most people are
uncertain.
not born to run toward pain. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
pretty normal defense mechanism to avoid pain and go through the path of least resistance. I would say that's a pretty normal
Yes.
way of going about life.
Yeah. And conserve energy. I mean, I think
Yeah.
probably our ancestors were pretty good at conserving energy for when they
Hmm.
needed it,
Hmm.
and avoiding pain.
Right. Yeah. It's funny. You must, heard my energy today because I was teaching a class. I still, group fitness and training is always like in my heart. So no matter where my work or my studies take me within the fitness industry, I think I'll always teach in some fashion or form. And so
Yeah.
at my club, I teach a couple classes a week. So I taught today, and I think by the description of the class, because it's low impact, people think easy or low intensity. And low impact, as you know, low impact and low intensity is two totally different things. I can whip on you in a low impact way. You just don't have to jump to do it, you just don't have to run. So the class is low impact, but it is very much is high intensity. So about 10 minutes into the class, panting, puffing, rolling eyes, all of that. And I had to explain to the class, and it's more of a rhetorical thing. They know this, is that in fitness, in physical fitness, we run to the pain, we run to the rigor. When you start to feel sore, fatigued, tired, that's cause for a celebration,
Yes.
not for anything else. Like, don't get upset. That's what you came for. You could be comfortable at home for free. You don't have to come here and pay me to do that, right? You have that. You have a monopoly on that. Okay. You
Yeah.
came to me to take you
Yes.
beyond where you would ever go yourself. So celebrate that. When you feel like you gave your last crunch or your last whatever, celebrate that, because that's what it is. That's your
Yes.
body's way of making a change, a transition, expanding your threshold, teaching your brain that it can do, your body's capable of doing something that You didn't quite know it can. It's this
Yeah.
constant conversation between your brain and your body and your muscles and all of that, the rest of yourself saying,
Yeah.
can I do it? Yes, I can. I just taught you I can. Okay, now recalibrate. Now you know what I can do at this point. Can we do some more? Can we do that? And so that's all the pain and the rigor is. It's your body having a tough conversation. I keep bringing this
Yeah.
back to DEI, right? This is a
Yeah.
DEI conversation
Yeah.
between your brain and your body. It's having a
Yes.
tough conversation and trying to reconcile what it thought it was and what it actually is. And so I'm like, embrace that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think and when you embrace that, you start changing the story that you're telling yourself about what you can
Exactly.
achieve both physically, but I think just you just start feeling like you're someone who can accomplish things, who can
Right.
set a goal and accomplish that goal, whether it be I'm going to get up early and I'm going to do all the laundry today. I mean, things as simple as that, you start to feel like I can work my way through life. I really believe in those ripple effects from
Right.
doing that one last hard crunch or one last push up or whatever the rep may be. I really do believe that uh, it can start transforming how we feel about all aspects of our lives.
Right. And so in this, it's not by accident that it was through the health and fitness industry that I kind of earned my wings in the DEI space. And I tell people this all the time. Like, it's a no-brainer for our industry. We literally do the work, and you could call it whatever acronym you want. You can omit letters if you want. I don't care what you call it. We literally do the work of inclusion every day, all day, have been. I mean, the human connections that we're talking about that make people feel better and that bring people out of, metaphoric caves and all of that. That's what the
Yeah.
fitness industry is. That's what we rely
Yeah.
on. There are no clubs or gyms where you just come in and you turn on a TV or you turn on an automated system and there are no humans and, people. That's
Right.
not. You need physical bodies in place, right? This
Yeah.
idea of pushing thresholds and each day a little progress in the conversations that your body's having with each other, conversation that the professionals having with the client, the all of that kind of engagement, collaboration, communication, conflict management, adaptability, versatility, all the things that make fitness providers, physical fitness providers successful are the things that would make inclusion successful and necessary within spaces. So again, it's by no accident that this pivot that I've made in recent years from fitness to inclusion has happened. It's
Yeah.
literally what I've been trained to do my entire career. And so I think that our industry and and the Health and Fitness Association gets that, which is why I'm proud to, lend my education and my voice and my physical presence to any
Yeah.
and everything that the association asks of me, because I love that it has stood 10 toes down for that, and not for any political reason, or not because it's cool or it's not, because there's a recognition that this is what we do anyway.
Yeah.
And if we don't buy into the competencies and the skill sets and the mindset and the knowing, being, doing of inclusion, then we lose our identity as health and fitness professionals. It
Yeah.
goes hand in hand. And so like I said, it's been so motivating and driving to exist in a space where our industry leaders get that
Yeah.
and wanna do better on both ends of that spectrum.
Well, they do get that, but you've also been tremendously helpful in helping the industry understand that. Like you said, it's kind of how successful fitness communities have always where they have to be inclusive to be truly successful. You have to want to understand where someone is, who they
Mm-hmm.
are, where they're coming from, understand their cultural background. What are they bringing from their culture that's going to help them succeed in fitness? And then when we make connections in those spaces with folks who maybe we don't see all the time, that just makes it more, those just makes the connections all the more meaningful and powerful. And I've seen you
Right.
do this, I've seen you do this both in fitness spaces, but you do it also in forums, at various conferences. You invite everyone in a really wonderful way that makes the space um, just inviting and open and free. And that's, I mean, I can see how I think you very naturally translate what you might do in a group exercise class or with 100 personal training clients who bring 100 different backgrounds and range of experiences together.
Mhm.
I see you do that when you're facilitating conversations as well. uh, and that's I don't know, that's a real power you have.
Thank
That's
you.
one of your superpowers.
Thank you. It's a skill that I've been able to hone through my work, with you and the people in our circle. The confidence, I always say, in a lot of the rooms that we are together in, very often I'm one of few women, and I'm most certainly one of very, very few Black women. And so, we talk in the realm of inclusion, we talk about sponsorship and allies and advocacy. And so, I very much feel like you and some of our colleagues, they were very instrumental in giving me the platform and the confidence to be able to create that space for others to join in. And
Hmm.
so I don't take it for granted that you know because I have to say something important, that I could be given a platform to do it, right?
Hmm.
Especially on such a global stage. That was an intentional decision and continues to be an intentional decision by the leaders in our industry to allow and participate. Thank you for joining us for part one of this really great conversation between my good friend Tom and I. I've said it many times and I'm going to say it again. I just really appreciate and love Tom's genuine passion for the advocacy that lives within fitness, and the movement, and where we want to push our communities of all types and in all corners, where we want to push them to be, so that everyone has fair opportunity and access to living better, longer, happier lives through movement. And so Tom has been at the forefront of those efforts for decades, and I am proud to call him friend. So, yeah, what do you think? Talk to me about it. Leave me some comments, chime in. I mean, I know we covered a lot of topics, and we'll get into some even deeper topics in part two of this conversation. But I was most impacted by Tom's conversation about the unifying effect of fitness and how it brings together people from all walks of life in this commonality. I refer to it as fitness trauma bonding, but I definitely put all the positive connotation that can be put there. So we talked about relationship building and community building through fitness. We also talked about, again and again, really how inclusion is just intertwined into how we behave as fitness professionals, and how we want to behave as fitness operators and businesses, and how every client that walks through our door or potentially walks through our door is a unique, authentic person who requires unique approaches and conversation styles, and comes with different perspectives, creating this very fluid definition of fitness. And so the more that we as fitness professionals can really lean into that, embrace it, and weaponize it, the better we will be at changing lives, which is essentially what this business is about. I have not only been a participant in Fitness Provider, but I've been one of its primary recipients of all the joys and benefits that come out of a life of health and wellness. And so this conversation is really, it really means a lot to me, and it's really personal for me. And I'm just really happy to be able to connect with a like minded individual and champion in that way. So, yes, I want to hear your feedback on what we've discussed today. I definitely want you to tune in to part two coming up right after this. And you know the drill. We got a lot of things to do. You got to comment, you got to share. If you haven't subscribed, you need to subscribe, and definitely let's cover the legal stuff. This podcast is presented solely for educational and entertainment purposes. The views expressed by guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect those of the host or affiliate content providers. The information shared is not intended to be a substitute for professional advice, including but not limited to medical, psychological, or coaching services. Listeners are encouraged to consult with their qualified practitioners for guidance tailored to their personal needs and circumstances.